When Brother Norman called me, it was a surprise, and it was great to hear from him, and great to know that they still remember the old ball players from back in my day. There were a lot of people that were involved with my whole time playing baseball at Saint Vincent. The first person that came to mind was Dodo Canterna, of course. Dodo was the head coach when I was playing, and he was also my American Legion baseball coach. And he set a fantastic example of creating an atmosphere where you were expected to do well, and he provided all the tools that you needed to do that. And he came to mind first, and then Father Myron was the assistant coach while I played, and Father Myron was a great presence on the ball field, and really helped me out a lot, and was an influential person in my life. In fact, Father Myron did the wedding service for my wife and I. My wife Kim and I met here at Saint Vincent, and we came back here to get married. Well, I wish my mother and my Aunt Dee were here today to share this. I'm sure they're watching. They never missed a game, and I'm sure they're not missing this event either. And I'd like to especially thank my dad, who was my first coach, and who really got me into the game, and taught me the love for baseball. And we've shared a lot of great moments with baseball and sports over the years, and I really appreciate all that he did for me. I have a lot of family that came here tonight, some of them from very far away, and I'd like to thank them for all their love and support over the years. I would like to thank my wife, Kim, who I met here at Saint Vincent, as I mentioned, and we got married here nearly 21 years ago, almost to the day. And she's endured a lot of baseball over the years, and still is, and I appreciate all her support. And I'd like to give a special thanks to my kids, to Chrissy and Gina, my daughters. Chrissy is a swimmer and a runner, and Gina is becoming a swimmer, and my son Nick, who's a baseball player and a swimmer, and he's developing into quite the baseball player, and I'm enjoying reliving all those moments again with him. And just in case Coach Donosco's watching, Nick's up-and-coming ball player, good left-handed hitting middle infielder, so keep your eye open for him.
A special thanks to the committee who selected me for this award. I believe one of the main reasons they did so was to recognize the fact that I started the soccer program here at St. Vincent College back in 1966, 45 years ago. This all came about when a group of successful soccer players, whom I had already coached, graduated from St. Vincent Prep Scholasticate and then were accepted into the college. So in the fall, they came to me and they said, would I coach them again if they recruited the players? I said, you recruit them and I'll coach them, and which they did enthusiastically. So I agreed to keep my end of the bargain, and thus was the start of soccer at St. Vincent College back in 1966. Now, at that time, soccer was played and known very little in our area. However, since that time, the college's soccer programs have grown into successful male and female varsity sports, ones that we all can be proud of. One other point, if I may add, I've always seen within the discipline of athletics the possibility of an athlete experiencing a higher state of one's being, of going beyond the ego, or if you will, experiencing the mind, body, spirit connection. I call this an aesthetic appreciation of muscular movement. This could be exemplified by an athlete who executes a perfect arced ball, scoring a three-pointer, or the soccer player who times and then traps perfectly a soccer ball, or the glide of a long-distance runner. In my opinion, these players are experiencing a flow, a rhythm, or the grace of aesthetic muscular movement, while hopefully winning in the process. Even today in my own exercise regimen, I still try to recapture, or at least get a hint of this mind, body, spirit unity. In conclusion, seeing how successful our soccer programs have become here at St. Vincent during the past years has brought me much personal and communal satisfaction. So again, thank you for this award. Your thoughtfulness is greatly appreciated.
I'm thrilled and honored to be a member of the class of 2011 Hall of Fame. There are many great men and women in this room who are also receiving this honor, and I am humbled by the fact that I have been chosen to be a member of the St. Vincent Hall of Fame. I would like to thank Father Myron for taking a chance on me in 1985 with a recent college graduate starting the program, the women's volleyball program here at St. Vincent. The program has grown throughout the years where there were many ups and downs, but I think my fondest memory of being the head women's volleyball coach at St. Vincent is the fact that I was allowed to touch so many young women's lives and get to be a part of their maturing into young women when they came into St. Vincent College as 17 and 18-year-old girls. The program will continue to grow, and I thank you for this great honor.
Brother Norman actually called me. It was at the end of the day, and I thought something had happened, actually. Apparently my family all knew, and we're trying to keep it quiet. And so when I called him and, he gave me the news, I was pretty much speechless. It was a very unexpected honor. I never thought I would get that, and very gracious for it. Especially to have him call me. It even made it, more special for me. I picked St. Vincent to come to mainly because I didn't want a huge school. I wanted to be able to, come to a place where I could be myself, be able to play, 3 sports possibly. Usually if you go to a bigger university, you're kind of stuck with that, and you're there the whole, year playing that. And, my parents and my, brother were always big supporters of me through high school. And, for me during games, it, always helped me get through it to look up and see my parents there. So, that was one of the other reasons I picked St. Vincent, was so that, my parents could still, come see the games and not have to get on a plane. The other person I really, wanted to mention was Coach Wasicki. She, even though she's not there tomorrow night, I know she is there, and she was a real important part of my life and the decision of coming here. And I know everybody that's ever played for her knows what I'm talking about. And I just want to take this opportunity to thank my family, my whole family. They've always been great supporters of me, and Mom, Dad, and Chris, you've always been my #1 fans, and I can never thank you enough for that.
I was at my son's Boy Scout camp for the week, and actually I was sitting out on the lake watching Jake taking his swimming lessons along with the rest of his troop, doing work while I play, and got the phone call from Brother Norman and took it right out on the dock, and he gave me the good news that I was inducted into the Hall of Fame, so I was very honored to get that phone call. I guess the best story of all at St. Vincent was I met my wife Kelly up at Twin Lakes. She went to Seton Hill. We had that senior picnic the last week of school, so that's without a doubt the best story. Okay, Kel, got that one in. When I first transferred here, Coach Canterna had me pitch batting practice, and I threw a knuckleball. And so a lot of the guys that didn't know me that well were complaining that I wasn't throwing straight balls. I just kept throwing knuckleballs. during batting practice. And then the president's nephew stepped up to bat, Al Hips. And of course, Brother Norm wasn't the president at the time, but I had no idea who Al Hips was, and he stepped up to bat, and the first pitch, I think it was the first pitch, was a knuckleball, and I hit Alan up the side, I think up the side of the head, and he didn't like it too much. Nobody likes to get hit. But anyhow, we ended up having a Spanish class together, and he didn't talk to me much in the beginning, but we ended up becoming best friends. Alan was in my wedding, and so Al Hips, thanks for the great baseball memory. Without a doubt, my mom and dad, and my family, my wife and my kids, I probably wouldn't have come to St. Vincent College if it weren't for my mom and dad. My mom was working here in the registrar's office, and I was actually attending IUP, and they convinced me to transfer. So I have to be very grateful to them. Thanks, Mom and Dad. And then I'd have to say Coach Dodo Canterna. I played baseball for him at Latrobe Legion, and he started the baseball program up here again at St. Vincent along with Father Myron. And Dodo recruited a lot of the guys that played for him at Latrobe Legion. Guys like Davey Regula, Louis Falbo, Gene Ray didn't play at Latrobe, but he played at Greensburg. We competed against him, great ball player. Frank Butter, Billy Amatucci, who I think is being inducted as well, was a teammate. He played third base. I usually played shortstop, pitched, Billy pitched. So we had a great team, and it was great fun to come back and play with those guys again. So that was another strong reason for coming back.
I was actually surprised, but pleased. I can't say it's something I ever expected to hear. I wasn't a real standout player. I was like a team player. Didn't score a ton of goals, didn't have a ton of assists, wasn't a standout goalkeeper or defenseman, just kind of covered a lot of ground when I could. So it was something that, you know, when I thought about after speaking to Brother Norman, I really felt that, you know, we had a few really good seasons where during my junior year we went to the Nationals, and we were definitely a bunch of overachievers. We didn't have scholarship athletes like the other, you know, 11 teams that were there. We had a coaching staff that really put together everyone's strong suits and made it work. Like I said earlier, it's nothing I ever expected to be involved with. And, you know, I don't get surprised too often, but that was quite a surprise, that phone call. And, you know, knowing some of the people who have competed there in the past and presently, you know, I feel like I'm really lucky to be included.
I was very surprised and felt very good about it, but I was very surprised. I had no idea that, one point earlier this year, I had no idea there was a Hall of Fame until Wally Hobart told me there was and told me that he had nominated me. Well, I've talked to a number of people that have called or emailed me when they found out I was being inducted. In fact, I'm having dinner tonight with a fellow student who was several years ahead of me named John Elliott, who was partially the reason I came to St. Vincent's, because he collared me when I was a senior in high school and wouldn't let me leave an athletic locker room until I agreed to come and visit the school, because he was firmly convinced that if I could come, we would win the Western Pennsylvania Athletic Conference Championship in baseball, which is what he wanted me to come for. And did you? And we did, my freshman year. Well, I want to say congratulations to the other inductees. I want to thank everyone on the committee and at St. Vincent's for the honor. And I want to thank, in particular, Wally Hobart for nominating me. I really very much appreciate this honor.
Well, surprised, certainly. And certainly I felt it was an honor. And it's been a long time, 50 years, to get that call. But I think my family was more excited than I was. Well, yes, when I was here my freshman year, I didn't know John Walter and John Costio, who's deceased now. I met them. They were probably like brothers to me. And John Walter is in Harrisburg. He's been flooded out, so he couldn't come. He planned to come. John Elliott, great friend of mine, second baseman, and I played center. And he taught me more about leadership and team spirit than anybody. So I immediately thought of those folks. I'm the oldest of 12 siblings, so it's a large family. And I know my mother and father sacrificed a lot to send me to Saint Vincent. And just a story to tell you that out of high school, I had a chance to sign, with to go play baseball for $1,000, go to the Florida Instructional League. My aunt wanted me to come to Saint Vincent. So instead of signing up and going to the Florida Instructional League with Sparky Lau, who made the right decision, I made the right decision to come to Saint Vincent. And it's thanks to my aunt, Emma Frankowski, who got me here. And it's probably, I had 4 great years, great college experience at Saint Vincent. I wouldn't trade that experience for anywhere. A lot of memories, good memories from being at Saint Vincent. It worked out for the best, and I have to thank my mother and father. One of the things I'd go to get to the mailbox, check the mail. And without fail, my mother, who's 88 years old, still would send me a letter just every time, and a box of cookies usually. So those box of cookies I look forward to. And she'd send me some spending money, which she probably couldn't afford to do, but she made sure she did. So a lot of thanks goes to Mom and Dad. Yeah, last but not least, I want to mention that Dodo Cantero, I immediately thought of him. He's a great coach, an even greater person. It's wonderful to have him as coach, and Coach, I love you. Take care.